Let there be light. That's better. Nothing special about electric light, right? Just another one of life's creature comforts that we totally take for granted. Think for a second though. When was the last time that you changed a light bulb? Probably quite a while back, because we are increasingly using energy-efficient halogen and LED bulbs. But the older incandescent bulb is a fascinating story that reveals much about why we are where we are, and the faults within the linear economy path that we have lived for the last century. We are used to technology advancing, products improving, so some of you may be surprised to hear that the longest lasting light bulb in the world, named the Centennial light bulb, was switched on way before halogen or LEDs came along. It is 120 years old. Let there be light. That's better. Nothing special about electric light, right? Just another one of life's creature comforts that we totally take for granted. Think for a second though. When was the last time that you changed a light bulb? Probably quite a while back, because we are increasingly using energy-efficient halogen and LED bulbs. But the older incandescent bulb is a fascinating story that reveals much about why we are where we are, and the faults within the linear economy path that we have lived for the last century. We are used to technology advancing, products improving, so some of you may be surprised to hear that the longest lasting light bulb in the world, named the Centennial light bulb, was switched on way before halogen or LEDs came along. It is 120 years old and is still going strong. In fact, by the 1920s, light bulbs could easily last for 2,000 or more hours, and each year, design and manufacturing improvements were making the lifespan longer and longer. Great, right? Well, not so great for the manufacturers of light bulbs. So, in the 1924, representatives from General Electric, Philips, and other major players held a meeting and decided to engineer a deliberate shorter lifespan. From this point on, light bulbs would only last for 1,000 hours. This was the first cartel in history, the Fives cartel, and the first example of plain obsolescence. Manufacturers were deliberately making worse products that would need more frequent replacement, create more waste, use more resources, and all motivated by profits and increased sales. It's a cautionary tale, but one we should all learn from, which is why we are all here today. So, good morning and welcome to our second and last day of the Circular Economy PowWow, brought to you by C-Voucher, the first pan-European initiative adopting the concept of circular economy to redesign the value chains. My name is Helena, and it is a pleasure to be hosting this event organized from Spain by Founding Box, a C-Voucher coordinator. Yesterday, we met 15 C-Voucher champions from European sustainability, and today we will find out who are the 6 winners of yesterday's pitching competition. But before that, we also have prepared a very interesting program for which we have invited a group of experts to discuss the circular economy theme. We also mentioned that C-Voucher support to the European SMEs has a total value of 4.2 million euros, and leverage the experience gained in that journey, C-Voucher has created a circular design toolkit for regions to help other EU regions which are willing to replicate or adapt this approach. Before we dive into today's program, let me remind you that you can ask questions to all our panelists and speakers to the chat available at Hopin platform. Don't miss this chance and send us your question as of now, and we will gladly pass them time permitting. You can also use Twitter to share comments, impressions of the event with 3 hashtags: hashtag circular economy, hashtag circular design, and hashtag funding champion. So there you go. We're expecting your comments. And now we're starting the day with a panel debate, which we have entitled The C-Voucher Approach to Circular Transition of Business and Regions, where our panelists will give us details on the C-Voucher toolkit for regions and calibration program outcomes. Let me introduce our guests. They are Christoph Trojanowski, Project Manager at Mazovia Development Agency, Manuel Paris, EU Project Manager at the Galician Innovation Agency, Ioana Dragos, Project Manager at Northwest Regional Development Agency, Romania, and Dite Weise, Director of Circular Economy Projects at Veil Commune, who will also moderate this panel. But first, Ioana will give us a brief introduction on the subject. So welcome to the fore, and go ahead, Ioana.
Thank you, Elena. Welcome. On behalf of the C-Voucher Consortium, 13 organizations actually from 6 countries, business accelerators, regional development agencies, clusters, universities, and supporting corporates from Poland, Spain, Romania, Denmark, Sweden, and France. We have all worked for 3 years to support the development of circular economy initiative solutions for SMEs under 5 verticals, 5 sectors, which are manufacturing, agro-food, textile, blue growth, and health. In short, we have designed and run 2 types of acceleration programs twice. 12 companies across Europe entered the circularity program for 9 months, up to 1 year, using a 60,000 euro voucher to develop innovative circular solutions. And 42 SMEs from Europe entered Adopters program for 3 months, benefiting from a 50,000 euro voucher after developing a circular business case around the future circular solution. And some of them, the best one you have seen yesterday, pitching. In total, 54 winning projects selected out of 475 proposals from 32 different countries, with a special interest from manufacturing and agro-food sector in particular from the project verticals. Besides the traditional project website tool commonly used in project management environment, we would like to leave as legacy much more than that. Actually, an entire community of circular economy experts, tools, and methodologies, but also concrete business cases that were powered by the C-Voucher support, both in terms of innovation vouchers as direct grants, as well as in terms of coaching, mentoring, and design thinking support services that the 54 C-Voucher winner SMEs have benefited from. How to access the Circular Economy Toolkit with a simple click from the project website. You can enter actually the universe of the circular economy. You will find here virtual spaces for the 55 business cases portfolio of circular ideas and solutions. Also, our 15 of our best solutions have pitched yesterday, and later today we will find the winners of the C-Voucher prizes. You will find also there in the community a forum to stay connected with the latest circular economy events and financing opportunities in Europe around circular economy. Plus, you have the possibility to share your ideas and ask questions where the community of experts can leave an answer or can initiate a debate around it. These are actually some of our circular solutions that C-Voucher powered. And in the toolkit, you can find, and this is particularly technical, it's a circular economy research center. So all concrete tools and methodologies and useful templates that we as a consortium have used to design, to elaborate and implement innovative circular economy funding schemes targeted towards SMEs, linking actually the business sector with the technology and R&D sector. And here are some of them, how to identify circularity challenges. We have a catalog for you, including the themes on the 5 project verticals. Also, main circular economy components, these famous building blocks that were anchored in Ellen MacArthur theory and practice. And also the expertise and importance of an expert, so-called designer in residence, a huge added value committed through open call of experts around Europe, brought in the project actually these experts to assist and accompany the beneficiary SMEs across the acceleration programs that we ran in the project. And in order to make it more familiar and digestible, a design training pack, like to do it yourself, of course, to get inspired and to be able to adapt it, we ran this so-called calibration program, which consists actually of 7 hourly session videos, which were prepared by C-Voucher partners, actually to share the world the knowledge that we've got, the tools that we've used, and more important, how we've done it in terms of strategy, program design, execution, and impact monitoring. And this is at a click distance from the C-Voucher community. And recommendation directly from the project partners will come immediately in the panel that will shortly follow. Actually, you can access these sessions of the calibration program at any time from your account in the C-Voucher community. Plus, you can also follow it directly from the YouTube links that are put over here. And in order to enforce it totally, we are also open to make it formal as a guarantee of our collaboration beyond the boundaries of the C-Voucher project that will soon end. Actually, a memorandum of understanding for circular economy ready to be concluded bilaterally with regions interested in the topic, with public authorities and or any other organization which plan to make a difference in the future in taking actions in supporting SMEs, in particular in their journey from linear to circular. Thank you very much. Let's all meet in the C-Voucher community for a better future. So I'm now passing the floor to my colleague Dieter from Denmark, who will take the pass from project partners in the panel aiming for direct sharing experience and recommendations following C-Voucher project joint implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna, and thank you, Helena, for the introduction. Since you mentioned the development of the light bulb, I would like to continue your example by saying what circular economy is doing to that. Now, the story goes that in Amsterdam airport, Schiphol, they were renovating and they asked the light bulb provider, don't you have a longer lasting light bulb? This is a lot of light bulbs we need to change. And they said, no, they didn't have a more long lasting light bulb. And then they said, well, we want to pay for the light. We don't want to pay for the bulb. We want light as a service. And upon changing the business model, upon changing the incentive of the provider to for them to own the light bulbs and the customer to just buy the light bulb as a service, all of a sudden, a lot of effort was done to make light bulbs that could last longer. And I think this is something that we need to remind ourselves is the core of the circular economy. It's always about the bottom line. It is about innovation. It is about growth and revenue and prosperity. And the whole key to this is changing the incentive and changing the business model. So this is what we've intended to do. And of course, this is not the core competence of any of the 6 regions that Joanna mentioned that we have been championing this program. So in this panel discussion, I think what would be important to get out is that even if we shared this experience for 3 years with C-Voucher, in each region, we have different perspectives, we have different highlights and challenges. And I hope that this will be an opportunity to shed light that there's no such a thing as one program fits all. We all have to adapt, and this is, as Joanna was explaining with the calibration program, this is what any region must do to be successful in circular economy transformation. So I've prepared just a couple of questions for each of you, and I want to remind that we have time to elaborate, maybe not all the details, but some. And I would actually like to start with you, Joanna. We mentioned the 6 regions, but we actually also work together with a total of around 40 European clusters to make this action happen. So clusters within the industry domains that you pointed out. And in Romania, you worked with several clusters, and I would consider this as one of the highlights because you were quite successful in working with the clusters. I would like you to share with us your reflections on how the clusters were differential to creating value with C-Voucher in your region, and also share some insights as how you were organizing and managing this collaboration with several entities.
Indeed, thank you. Indeed, our results would definitely be different without the involvement of the clusters. Don't forget that C-Voucher is the component of the Horizon 2020 program that C-Voucher is financed from, is the clusters facilitated projects for new industrial value chains. And indeed, we have structured our consortium on a pyramidal basis, let's say, having the coordinator on top, business accelerators, and then the 6 regional development agencies and the public authorities. But behind them, there was this network of clusters from the 6 countries participating in the C-Voucher project. And for sure, the added value of clusters, which actually are the backbone of the economic environment, but they are making also the link between business and research and technology and facilitators. For sure, they are a valuable piece of the puzzle in what consists of the scheme of implementing such a project. And in this manner, clusters have become associated partners. They had dedicated budget out of the project, and our collaboration in Romania was very efficient and concluded with good results. First of all, clusters were involved in, of course, in the dissemination of the open calls, but this did not end to here. Dissemination, of course, using their own tools, websites, social media, and cluster gatherings. But we have also worked together in organizing events and conferences jointly together in order to in order that the information is reaching the right companies, based on the fact that clusters now are working very closely with their member SMEs, and they also have a good mirror of their needs and also of their future plans. So it was easily to connect in these verticals with the right companies, having ideas on how to improve and then how to go from linear to circular. Of course, we have started from their ideas, but we have teamed together in order to help them understand the program and also to have good applications. And then also having as I said, dissemination, working closely together, and then having relation based on collaboration, which was backed up by reports, by milestones, and by outputs. In the end, we have collaborated with 4 clusters in Romania, covering agri-food, furniture, wood, and environment. 2 of them being gold label clusters, and yes, the results were quite good.
So, Joanna, have any of these cluster organizations continued to focus on circular economy? Has this kickstarted a focus on circular economy in any of their organizations?
Yes, actually, it was a win-win situation also from the part of the partners, the C-Voucher partners themselves, but also the associated partners, the clusters. Because in these 3 years, we also have learned a lot. And now we are able to follow closely also the priorities of the European Commission, and circular economy with the Green Deal is there on top. And in terms of awareness, I think it made a great difference, because clusters now are willing to grasp new opportunities. We, as Regional Development Agency, we are continuously connecting them with new and with future opportunities that will come. So for sure, the impact is like a rolling ball.
So there's no doubt that Romania was very efficient and successful in carrying out this collaboration. If you could share just one tip for any other regions wanting to collaborate with the clusters, what is the single most important tip that you could give them to make it so efficient and successful?
I think the ecosystem, the regional ecosystem is important, and all these all projects and all initiatives in the end have the role to tie the links, and working together and keep a close professional relation with the cluster managers and the cluster management team makes the information flow more easier and more efficient when grasping new opportunities.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will move on now to a little bit of a different region. We'll move on to Spain, to Galicia, Jaén, represented by Manuel Paris. And one of the observations that we had from Spain was that in the beginning of the project period, we didn't see a lot of applicants from the Spanish companies, whereas by the end of the 3 years period, we saw a lot of interest and a lot of very highly qualified applications coming out of Spain. So I would like for you to reflect a little bit on this journey from 0 to 100, Manuel, over the course. Some of the reflections about, you could say, the maturity of the circular economy agenda, but also perhaps as an agency, as a regional partner, what you learned and developed over the years. And finally, also, we can come back to that, but the impact of having case studies from the other countries. So the good examples that were made during the course of C-Voucher, how that affected other companies' ability to mirror their own project in this. So these are many questions in one, but if you would start out reflecting a little bit on that journey, if it's correct to say that it went from 0 to 100. Go.
Yeah, indeed. Well, good morning. We were also a bit surprised at the beginning to have such low numbers, but in the end, we ended up being happy with the results and seeing that our companies were applying and successfully applying to the program. There are several reasons, of course, why there was this let's say the process took place this way. And on the one hand, and this is coming back to comments made by Joanna about the cluster's role, because in the methodology of the project, the clusters, even though no direct partners of the project, had a very important and central role, mainly to help us design the topics, so to say, the content for the calls, but also to approach companies and stimulate their participation. So in this regard, we had, at the beginning, we experienced some problems to involve the clusters. And it was not because of lack of interest at all. It was a technical situation internal to our agency. This figure of being the third party inside a project was something new in our administration. So this involved some issues to be solved internally at legal level. Because how to make this function and how could we use our funding in the project to pay them, things like that. So that was clearly some uncomfort at the beginning. And I think we lost some, let's say, communication with the companies. The clusters, anyway, they collaborated from the very beginning, even though not so intensely as they could, because there was no agreement, no formal agreement, no money for them at that time. So we use our channels to organize, to approach companies. We organize some workshops, our social media, we were active there. We use the European Enterprise Network, the EEN, and we have also this node. We are coordinators of this node in the region, and the result was not so good. That's it. And then we solved the situation with the clusters, and we felt this was a big change. We were able to approach the companies in a different manner, but we were also to organize events together with them, together with the clusters, in which we didn't only focus on the presentation of the calls, but on raising awareness. It was like a two sides events. On the one hand, we presented good practice examples from the region. We also made use of some of the projects that have been participating in C-Voucher as a good practice. And so I think we managed somehow to raise the awareness about the circular economy. And then we also presented the calls. Maybe that was the main reason, we don't know, because we haven't also checked. So we haven't evaluated this, but we feel that there is a clear connection with this role of the clusters. So in the end, we were quite satisfied. And I would like to mention that during the process of the C-Voucher, a new cluster was created in the region. It says a cluster on circular economy, exactly. So there was like a change in the awareness. Of course, this is not something that C-Voucher managed itself only. Of course, circular economy is a growing, let's say, it's getting hotter and hotter topic. It's a hotter topic in Europe. But C-Voucher helped us to even emphasize this in our region. So we feel that also the higher or the biggest participation in the calls is also connected with this emergence of, so to say, this new cluster and other actions. Like we have a circular economy action plan for the region too, that was implemented in late 2020, so 1 year ago almost, or a bit more. So there was like an environment. The environment. The atmosphere was more adapted to the circular economy also in the region.
Thank you. That's it's a very interesting perspective on how much can happen over the course of a project lifetime. And I would like to mention that in the whole C-Voucher design, in composing the regions and the regional innovation hubs, it was a decided feature to combine more mature regions and less mature regions in terms of the circular economy agenda. And this leads me also over to you, Christoph, and to Poland, which, like Spain, had not at the beginning of the project span a large innovation agenda around circular economy. But as I also understand, a lot has changed. So what has been a challenge perhaps at some parts of the project may now become an opportunity, because what we are very aware of is that Poland and ARMSA are working very proactively with the concept of the Memorandum of Understandings. So how to really continue the efforts beyond the C-Voucher project. And that is, of course, also extremely relevant. How do we take the results and the efforts of the project and dynamize circular economy beyond the project period? So I would like your reflection on how are you going to work together based on the C-Voucher toolkit, based on the agreements of the Memorandum of Understanding, and also perhaps what is the incentive to be working together as, you know, cross-region, even within one country on this agenda? What do you think you will get out of working together as regions on this agenda? So thank you, Christoph, if you will put your perspective on this.
Yeah, thank you, Dieter. Thanks, colleagues, for your opinions and experience. So there are so many topics in our discussion, so I'm afraid we are not able to touch every aspect of the discussion. But anyway, every region has different experience. Of course, we also have some challenges, some positive or even negative results. I just would like to share some of them. We are not that, let's say, do not have such positive experience as Romania and other countries or regions in terms of cooperation with clusters. But anyway, the practice life showed that some are very active, the others are not. So just to be a reliable and active partner in this voucher, we tried to be successful as much as we only could. I must say that our own contacts helped a lot. Just a word about our team, because we joined this voucher project more or less 2 years ago, so we didn't start at the very beginning. Nevertheless, me and my colleagues come from the national contact point of research, EU research programs. We have different, let's say, experience and expertise. Nevertheless, we complement our competence, and it gives us and gives positive results to our participation. Nevertheless, it's our own let's say experience and some own practices give some results. Okay, in terms of circular economy and situation and position of Poland in European countries. Of course, as you said, Dieter, and I fully agree that we invest a lot to, let's say, to introduce the general idea and to how to say, to teach or to share the experience with our SMEs and to get them involved in the whole program. We are not that successful because there are no, let's say, Polish companies having grants and performing the projects. Nevertheless, in time we get more and more interest, and we managed to attract people and had created good relations with especially SMEs. So the level of interest is growing, and we would like to and think how to sustain it and to keep the contact alive and make them to continue. They I would say circular economy ideas, thinking and active.
So a lot will happen over the coming years, following your conclusion.
We are at a certain point of time, but of course we are thinking and concentrating on the future, because okay, we have a COVID pandemic time, very hard in terms of cooperation. Nevertheless, we are thinking about the future, so we'll continue. One of the key important aspects is a cooperation with regions at the level of administration, we have some contacts. It's of course due to some previous relations, because our director Michael Klepka, who is not, let's say, present with us today. Anyway, he is, let's say, working for the regions, for the strategy. He was involved in a support program elaboration and performance. And we are thinking continuing such relations with administration and regions themselves. And we combined, let's say, the experience gained in C-Voucher together with the previous experience, and we would like to continue the cooperation with regions, resulting to some extent in this memorandum of understanding, which is, let's say, we have already some results, positive ones, and declarations that the regions are interested and would like to implement circular economy as one of the main priorities.
I think that's the good news, Christoph, and I'm sorry to cut you short because it's all, I guess, what I'm hoping to see is that you will become the best case on how to actually use the toolkits and what has come out of C-Voucher results. We don't have a lot of time, and I wanted to make a quick second round of the questions. I think what we can conclude from these three perspectives we've had so far is both, how different this agenda has been in the regions, but also I think this makes the argument for why we need a cross-regional initiative to really advance circular economy across Europe. The second round, we have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to ask for a bit shorter answer, but we wanted to touch on a couple of other perspectives. I'm going to go back to you, Joanna, because you highlighted that one of the learnings being around some of the digital processes. And of course, in 2021, we're not just circular, we're also digital. And we have had a lot of digital support of our processes from the application processes, but also in the support and in the online community that you yourself presented. So just on a short reflection, is there anything you would like to highlight from this, and also maybe an advice on how to even improve the use of digital in projects like this? Just a short answer. Thank you.
For sure, digital is a must, and this is a horizontal support in all projects. And of course, pandemia stressed the importance of digital. When we started C-Voucher, the waters were still, let's say, but nevertheless, we have started digital from the point of view of the application. And in order to make it more efficient and more quick to go, on a platform, a digital platform for filling and submitting the applications on an online mode, it's a must in European projects. And in C-Voucher Consortium, we had the advantage of having such platform owned by the coordinator. In other Horizon 2020 projects which did not have this start, had the possibility to include such costs in the project management. Besides the friendly approach and the friendly look for the companies in order to fill it, it's also easy to get exported the application, to get them accessed by the external evaluators, if such evaluators are involved, as it was the case of C-Voucher. The partners can easily have access to it. The evaluations can be results can be also put together there. Efficient responses to companies following. So and this is only on the evaluation process, but not only. The digital is a must in promotion campaigns. It's everywhere. And as a tip, not necessarily how to improve our digital component, but how to complement it with a physical one. And from the experience of companies applying, You know that when you do an exam, you prepare first. So it's unlikely that the companies are start filling directly the information there. They need to have it on paper and to prepare it first. So for this, as a recommendation, the guide for applicants should also be accompanied by an exact template of the online application form, but replicated in an editable form. We had it on PDF, it was good enough, but there was the need to have it and to be able to fill it at home, let's say, and then afterwards put it directly in the online form.
Thank you, Joanna. And just to complement, of course, also being a regional partner of C-Voucher, we have also our experiences with this. And as you say, any project should have ambitions to really support and improve, enhance the project with digital tools. I think also from a personal experience, we'll have to say that it takes a lot of footwork to achieve some of the ambitions. We had combined the tools that we have been using, the platform, we've called it the C-Voucher Marketplace, because the whole idea was to create a shared meeting place, a marketplace for both design consulting, for technical solutions for circularity, for the whole ecosystem, and for ultimately also companies looking for these resources. And I do believe that this is a very good ambition. And I also would like to say my reflection is that over the course of 3 years, we have taken steps. We've all come to understand that vision, but we also realize and are a little bit humbled on how difficult it actually is to just build a marketplace. There are many competing ecosystems and platforms out there from the projects. So what I would like to share here is also that we need to, I think we have the concept of liaison, so really collaborating across the different projects, so we don't have competing platforms, but are smarter about how we gather all the interests in marketplaces. So that was a perspective from us being a partner, not moderating what you were saying, Joanna. I want to, I was just told that actually we have 10 more minutes than I thought, so we will continue this second round. I want to come back to you, Manuel, and to Spain, because we were talking before about you went from few to many applications. What I think has been one of the core discussions and themes throughout this project has been the scope. Are we selecting the right companies? That's obviously the essence of a good acceleration project. But about the scope, the number of industries, the size of the companies, the types of companies is something that has been a recurrent discussion to choose the right companies. Now, if we talk about circular economy, and we have been having this ideal company being an SME in a traditional industry looking to transform their existing business towards circularity. So I guess we have had the picture of an existing, many times manufacturing SME, changing business model or processes to then do something of a more circular sense. Now, we've had a lot of different companies, and as our case studies show, we've worked with startups, we've worked with these traditional companies, etc. But I would like if you could reflect a little bit on the scope. Are we doing, how do you see the scope of C-Voucher, the companies we've actually reached, and what do you think has been important in communicating and reaching the right companies for the programs? I don't know if that's a big question or an easy question, but please.
No, that is okay. Yeah, I mean, this is something that it has been part of our discussions all over the project all the time. Of course, our main interest was in working with the most traditional companies to help them become more circular, so to say. But our experience in the calls, mainly the applications we got, we could see there that a lot of companies applying were not exactly traditional. As you said, we had quite a good number of startups. And also, we had companies that already had, let's say, the circularity in their DNA. So they were already companies working on the circular, with a circular approach, trying to introduce, let's say, a new product or a new service. So that was always difficult. To me, honestly, we can keep discussing about this, and it depends on every region, I guess, that about depending on the profile of your companies, you would prefer one model or the other. To me, or to us, to Gain, because of the way we work, supporting startups is always interesting, because it's companies that are starting, and what we can secure working with them is that they are circular from the very beginning. So that's very important, and I wouldn't say so difficult to achieve. But the big challenge is, well, of course, working with the traditional companies. And in fact, the results of the calls show that they were not the biggest number in it. So that's something that we should reflect upon a bit more. And maybe the way we put the calls together, the way we presented the calls, had an influence on this. Okay, you always apply to the calls you feel you are represented there, or that is something for you exactly there. So for some reason, our calls were sometimes seem to be more attractive for startups than for the traditional companies.
I agree.
Or maybe the traditional companies are still reluctant to go circular. Or maybe we went out as a project a bit early, maybe. I guess that in this new period, 2021, 2027, a circular Green Deal is there, and the circular economy is going to be there. I guess that if we repeat the project as it is, we would be more successful in attracting traditional companies. So again, the awareness rising is still something that needs to grow in part of the industry.
Definitely, and I think particularly we've talked about some of the language that is more mainstream today even than 3 years ago. We talk a lot about circular economy, service models, symbiosis. There's a lot of technical language that is more appealing perhaps to some of the startups that are already thinking circular. Yeah, so just a comment on the translation. Have you felt that when you were then talking with the companies that it made a value, it had a value for you to put different words, it was necessary to put different words?
In fact, I wanted to mention that 3 years ago when we started, you went out and you were presenting circular economy, and people, okay, it's about recycling, or it's about using the traditional words linked somehow to part of the circularity. I mean, it's not the whole. But now you can go out saying circular economy. So the word is already there. It has developed, and we had a challenge with that. And for that reason, working with the clusters helped us very much to get through to the companies, because they adapted the message much better. And they had, as we were based more on disseminating through our newsletters, the EN, the social media is different to the clusters, because the clusters, apart from that, they also made direct contact with the company. So that was also a difference, and it helped translate, let's say, this circularity and the design thinking and all that stuff that was involved in the project was somehow translated. But now I think we are in a better moment for this project to succeed in attracting applicants.
And I certainly hope those circular economic strong winds will be helpful also in Poland. Now, I am tempted to change a little bit the plans that we made for this session, because I think as a quick round in the end and a bit of shortliners, I would actually like all of you to mention the one single best experience you've had through these 3 years. Could be a day, a time, a thing, and perhaps one thing that you would like to have changed where we're doing this project all over again. And perhaps we can start with you, Christoph. One thing that has been the best experience through these years, and one thing you would like to change. And you have roughly about a minute and a half.
Okay. Thank you, Dieter. It's not an easy question. There are so many, let's say, positive aspects and great experiences. So it's not easy to show the one, or to point out what was the most important and most valuable. I really appreciate and like and give me much experience activity as design in residence. So direct cooperation with the companies. In our case, we cooperated with foreign partners from different countries with a great experience, which I would like to continue to some extent in our future activities. And we think seriously about the implementation as a service dedicated to SMEs. That's the core experience from my perspective. Of course, we would like to pass this message to regions, as I have said already. What I would like to change, some rules were not very easy to understand, to comprehend by SMEs. We all remember discussed about some modifications. Sometimes it was a bit too hard. But there are the technical details. The general concept and idea was very good. I would like almost totally, let's say, continue such a mechanism or experience in the future. So it would be great if we, let's say, agree and try to continue it in a similar form in the future.
Thank you, Christoph. Joanna, have you had time to think?
Yes, and for sure the thing that I liked most, and implies, of course, direct contact, both with project partners also to potential winning SMEs, was what we have called in the project prototype-a-thon, which seems like a buzzword maybe. But actually, because we have structured the evaluation based on several steps, actually the semi-finalists, so the best applications which ranked out of the external evaluators, have been invited into one place, and once was in Santiago de Compostela, a wonderful place in Spain, and Manuel was the host. And then next year, just before the pandemic started, was in Paris. Wonderful events where we had the chance to coach actually and to train the semi-finalist companies for 2 days, and then in the end to witness their pitches and then to make a decision out of it. So that was a perfect event, a perfect kind of event that we are strongly recommended to other projects also. And what I would improve, also based on the experience on the pandemic, let's see the good parts here in project environments. I would organize all the Info Days events online, because in this way we are reaching much more companies, much more service providers, digital providers. So not stick only to physical events, but also go digital. Make it hybrid if possible.
Thank you. Very good point. And you, Manuel?
Yeah, I won't repeat what Iona said, but for me, the pitches we had here in Santiago and in Paris were the most interesting in best moments of the project also for us. In terms of and for the same reason, I mean, being in contact with the companies and being the exchange taking place there was fantastic. But then to improve in our case, of course, is to be better prepared from the very beginning, okay? And to avoid some of the problems we had in involving the necessary resources in the project to have good results. So it's about our planning. But I would like to highlight that the whole project itself, because it was a very fantastic pilot experience. As we said, circular economy is now much more familiar, so we will have to work as public agencies, regional agencies. We will work more intensely in these circular economy issues. So C-Voucher has provided us with a lot of tools and experience to work on this in a better manner at regional level. So it has been a fantastic pilot experience and helped us to learn, but also to see our weaknesses, to work on that, and our strengths too. So all in all, it has been, it will be very useful, and it's already been very useful.
Thank you. And let me then take the chance to wrap up this discussion. And this was unplanned, but I have to say I agree with both of you. I think for every partner, the first pitching session in Santiago was amazing. It's something that I know a lot of other partners look back at as sort of a highlight of the project. And also I think we must also remind that the experience in Paris was even compromised by the corona, as a few of the companies were not able to travel and attend. So I think that was the beginning of a very challenging process that we all had to endure. The consultants, the companies, everyone was under pressure. And we should not make this about corona, but about what we could change. And I also agree with you, Manuel, that this is an extremely complex and ambitious project with 40 clusters, 6 regions, the concept of new technological solutions. I think, personally looking back, we could have spent 1 or 2 days more on really preparing at the very beginning, when we actually met in Denmark for the kickoff of the project 3 years ago. So I also agree with that. Now, I think to wrap up, I think what we have shared today and listening to your different perspectives, I would like to say that this was the very reason, the different experiences, the need to customize, the need to really live the process in each region, is the reason why we chose that the toolkit had to be implemented as a process. So that's why we did the calibration process. And there's been a lot of, we've talked about weird lingo here in the circular economy, and I think that the calibration has also been what do you mean with that? The calibration process has really been a consequence of needing to adjust and live C-Voucher as a process to really make that preparation. You cannot take the full toolkit and just apply it in your circumstances if you don't have the preparation process of thinking through the goals, the strategy, the right partners that are motivated, the roles these partners should have, the scope, the companies in your region, all of this. I think at the end of the 3 years project, we realized as a project that a toolbox could not work as a standalone. And I'm very happy that every partner of this project were open to, in a short notice of time, to designing and executing a calibration program. I'm also very, very happy that in countries like Poland and in ARMSA, there's a big energy around using these results and taking on the projects even further. So I actually think this is a very good result in itself, Christoph. I also think you pointed out a lot of the stuff that was not working in Poland. But I do think that what we've learned here is that things take time. Circular economy transformation takes time. We've provided some good cases through C-Voucher. We have discussed as regions to share best practices and learn together. And I think to end on the positive note here, we really hope that these results will live on as new examples, maybe based out of Poland, and we look forward to continue to support however we can on that journey. So thank you all for sharing your insights, your perspectives, your highlights, and also being open about the challenges, because I think that's the only way forward. So thank you and this concludes our panel session.
Yes,
thank you and good luck.
Dite, there's a couple of questions. I know we use most of our time, but if you don't mind, there's a couple of questions. There's more, but if you wish, we could maybe pass them on to the panel. There's one actually for Joanna. Hang on a second. They're asking Joanna, can you give us any examples, please, of a couple of clusters you were mentioning right at the beginning? Joanna?
Yes. So 4 clusters will involve from Northwest Development Region, 2 gold clusters, Agro Transylvania, Transylvania Furniture Cluster, and CLEMS cluster, which is Eco-Innovative Cluster for Environment, and Wood cluster, the wooden cluster from Transylvania. These were the 4.
Excellent. They're also asking you, Manuel was mentioning the problems or the difficulties for the traditional companies to attend the calls. So if you could give some tips for these companies to answer these calls, to be more involved, apart from startups, but what would you tell these traditional companies after all the lessons learned, as Dieter was mentioning? If you could say a few tips for them to join, encourage them.
No, I mean, what they have to think is that circular economy is not the changing from linear to circular is not a problem. If you think and plan things well from the start of your processes, you will get even maybe more benefits. That's the key aspect of the circular economy. You will get more benefits, so don't be afraid of this change. And in fact, as the regulations and laws and the things are evolving during also the past years, but they're expected to evolve in the next year, it will be a need. So better to start thinking of that. And if I guess that as the C-Voucher provided resources for this, there will be, I guess, many more opportunities for industries, for companies in every region, in every country to go into making their business more circular. So of course, it's easy to say from an administration, of course, because you're always sitting down. But I would go for that. I would look for this kind of support that will be available there, and we'll think about that and try and have, test and check your possibilities to go into this, let's say, model.
Do you think maybe one of the worries is that the people being afraid of the bureaucracy you were mentioning? You were talking about digital and physical and facilitating or making the process simple through digital platforms. Do you think maybe that this could have been, or this could still be, one of the major concerns, all the paperwork involved sometimes? I
mean, if you are talking about traditional, I see it in myself. The older you get, the more reluctant you are to changes. So it is more. So I think the same may apply to a company. I mean, you have been there in the business for so long that maybe some big changes, or you may be afraid of changing your model, and that if it's, as we say in Spain, if something works, don't touch it, so let it go. Yeah. Let it continue like that. So maybe that's the mentality, and it's normal because you're putting your resources and your effort there. But I think that there will be, we're coming into a period in which there will be public support for that. Okay. So I would analyze those possibilities and try to see how to use them.
Okay. They will always can contact you then, Manuel.
If they are in our region, if they are in Galicia, they're more than welcome.
Of course. After what has been mentioned about Santiago de Compostela, I'm sure people are going to try and join you there. Dieter, if you allow me, maybe Christophe can answer that a last question regarding in which sense has the pandemic affected the results, both positive and negative, of the work you've been doing throughout these 3 years? If there are any positive lessons to learn from the difficult times of the pandemic, and maybe that, as Jona was mentioning, making things easier through digital, through internet. We don't have to travel as much now, which is, yes, in a way, it's very positive. So
I would say every experience is a good experience at the end. So we learned a lot. To a large extent, we, let's say, organized or reorganized our job. Of course, I prefer the face-to-face meetings or direct, because we are all human beings. Nevertheless, in terms of let's say, work which should be done, we managed with digital, let's say, tools, and we successfully finished or closed the project. So summing up the whole experience, the adventure, we have a good opinion on it.
It's worth it, yeah? The only way is up. Yes, Dieter, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may add to that, I think if we look at our cases and the bottom lines, all companies have fulfilled the programs, have done the deliverables. And I think we should be very happy with that as a result. That doesn't mean we've not had huge troubles during the course of the COVID. We've had a lot of delays. We've had to count on the flexibility, not only of the regions and the consultants, but actually also of the whole project system. And I think we've received great support and understanding as a project for these delays, which is also part of the story. But the outcome is that we have finished all of the projects, or the companies have. But that is not to say there's not been huge challenges for them individually. We should not forget.
Not at all, and well done for that, Dieter. Thank you for adding, because it seems that we tend to forget easily when, hard times, but it's good to remind. And thank you to the four of you for shedding light, as you were making this analogy with the light bulb at the beginning, Dieter, shedding light from this experience from the different regions. As Manuel was saying also, it was important, the job C-Voucher has been doing for raising awareness. Not only that, there's much more, but as you said at the beginning, the core of circular economy is the bottom line, which is innovation, growth, and prosperity. And of course, changing the business model, which is what all of this is about. You mentioned also the importance that we need a cross-regional initiative, that is for sure, and the importance of the preparation process, including all the factors that you mentioned, the four of you, especially Dieter. You said at the end, it takes a lot of time, but the point is taking it further. So we hope we can continue taking it further. Thank you so much for the four of you. Of course, especially to Dieter for being our moderator. Thank you so much. We're going to continue with the program. It's been a great experience, and we're going to take some of those tips and try to use them for the future. So thank you to the four of you, and we continue seeing you in the circular C-Voucher economy. We'll see you soon. Thank you. And we continue with the program, and our next section consists of a fireside chat about needs and trends in circular economy identified by corporates. And the question they will be trying to answer is the green tech the next big thing? So if you want to know the answer, don't go too far, as we will be back with them in just a few seconds. For many people, green tech is a new concept that has been recently invented by modern scientists. However, green tech started centuries ago. Egyptians started using green tech around 2000 BC, where they designed buildings with passive air conditioning systems. The Romans used to cool their palaces using ice-powered air conditioners. Later in the 19th century, people got more interested in alternative energy sources like solar-powered engines, biomass systems, and wind technologies. The technology might not have been so sophisticated back then, but it definitely shows how ancient humans were concerned about their environment. The difference between now and then is that not only adopting this technology now, it is no longer an option. So is green tech the next big thing? To give us the answer, we have with us two guests. They are Roy Rodriguez, Program Manager at Founding Box, and Antonio Grasso, Founder and CEO of DVI. Welcome to both.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. You can hear me now, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thank you for the intro. As Anna said, I'm Roy Rodriguez, and thank you C-Voucher team for organizing this event. It is a pleasure for me to be part of this fireside chat today. And let me start introducing myself. I'm Program Manager at Founding Box. At Founding Box, we support startups and SMEs to grow and rewrite their future through different funding opportunities and support programs. We also facilitate connections with global brands and community knowledge. Today, we have around 100 million euros of funding under management, most of them coming from Horizon 2020 programs. but also programs at national level in Poland, Denmark, and Spain, collaborating with corporates and so on. And we also have a venture capital fund of 7 million euros. Besides that, at Funding Boss, we are one of the biggest deep tech communities in Europe, with around 35,000 innovators registered in our platform and growing. Okay, so far we have supported around 600 champions, startups, and SME through different programs like C-Voucher, the one that brings us here today. Okay. And we will talk today about many things that our invitee is doing in the world. He is amazing, not only for being an entrepreneur and researchers in fields such as AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, IoT, or sustainability. He is also one of the top influencers in those areas. Okay? He has worked with large organizations like Siemens, Adobe, or Huawei, with public organizations like United Nations or the European Commission. He's fellow of the Royal Society of Arts and accredited mentor. Well, I think that we can define him as humanist of the 21st century. So take your seat, relax, and enjoy the conversation. Welcome, Antonio Grasso, and thank you for coming.
Hi, Roy. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to participate in this fireside chat where we can share something about green things. So thank you.
Okay, so Antonio, you have done so many things. Besides what I already mentioned, you also have almost 1 million followers in different social media, addressing different audiences. For example, your Facebook account is focused on countries in development. In fact, you are in several rankings as one of the top influencers in tech and sustainability, sharing ranking with people such as Mark Benioff from Salesforce or Elon Musk from Tesla or SpaceX. Well, the guy that some months ago learned that you shouldn't throw rocks at cars, right? I guess that all of you know him. So let me start the conversation to know a bit more of you, Antonio. Coming back to the rules, let us go to Via Chiaia, one of these streets in which you could be spending your time in Naples, in Italy, in the 70s, when you were a kid. What was in the mind of this small kid in Naples? What did this small kid wanted to be when he grew up?
I was, yeah, you're right. Thank you, Roy, for finding this information. It's unbelievable. I was a small kid. I was trying to build my future, but every time I was, attracted by ingenuity, by something that is inside, how it's working, how it's was really an amazing journey toward the technology. Before as I was kid, I was buying toys, and then I break them because I want to understand how they work inside. So this was the guy, the little kid in Naples till I started school.
Okay, so your passion for technology started when you were really small, right? And later on in the 80s, you started to work as a programmer, then you were project manager, you have different positions at C-level in different companies. And in the last years, you started your own company, you are a member of the board of several companies and organizations, and are collaborating with different organizations in different technologies and sustainability and so on. Could you tell us a bit of how this whole process was, the main career path changes, and what drove you to do those changes?
Yeah, it was a natural evolution. You know, I was attracted by this machine that you can program, and then you can achieve what you want. I was really started as a coder, as a developer, and then I was attracted by how technology can fit the needs of business processes. But there was a natural evolution. And then after collaborating with many companies, as you said, I started my startup that is active in the bring startups from idea to success in the field of technology. But let me say, it was so natural. It was an evolution that, and the last result I was talking about influencer. I was really not I was not thinking about it. It's something that happened naturally. So, natural evolution.
Yeah. Well, but finally it happened, right? Yeah, and you know, what about the digital transformation? Because you as an expert and influencers in AI, blockchain, or IoT, you know, in a world in which the pandemic has sped up the digital transformation of society, what are your forecasts on this area in the near future, both at European or global level?
Yeah, Roy, before talking about the future, I want to talk about what digital transformation is. We many times we talk about digital transformation, thinking about digitalization, but we need to distinguish between the phenomenon because they are different. We have, in the first place, we have digitization. Digitization is something that occurs when one product or one service become digital. And then you have digitalization. Digitalization is something that happens when a company adapt the business model to reflect the evolution in, for example, the invention of MP3 was a digitization of the CD, or the streaming now is the digitization of the movie. Then the digitalization is something related to, for example, to stay in the music industry, Apple Store is an example of digitalization. And then, so they are pushing the digital transformation. That, let me say, is a restructuring of our society, it's a system level restructuring of our society that is really changing our life in every aspect. But in terms of business, and especially small business, we need to distinguish between a digitization, a product become digital, digitalization, a company harness the digitalization to change the business model, and the digital transformation, the big revolution that is happening in our society. This is very amazing, but we cannot stop only analyzing the advantage of digitalization. We also must study and assess the change in our behavior, in our habits. We are changing ourselves. It's really an amazing time where we are changing in the core of our habits.
Okay, thank you for stating the difference between digitalization and digital transformation. Okay, so maybe we can move to discuss a bit, you know, the main topic of the panel. You know, C-Voucher program supported more than 60 companies to develop circular solutions and to adopt circular business cases, and so on. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation defines well, or says that circular economies focus on three main principles: design out of waste and pollution, keep products and materials in use, and regenerate natural systems. Okay, more and more companies and people are applying it, but the efforts are still not enough and are mostly concentrated in the first world countries. You that work, you know, all over the world, what are for you the main gaps that we need to address on this area at global level?
Yeah, about the green technology, let me say just a bit to talk. Let me talk a bit about the difference about the technology of some years ago that was, let me say, an accelerator that let us do something we do in a fast way, in a better way. But now we are witnessing the technology is enabling new things. It's enabling new things we cannot do. We can imagine, for example, the mobility. In the mobility, how technology has changed the mobility from thermic motor, from combustion engine, to electric vehicle that is or for example the ability to track waste. To track waste is now for the circular economy and the waste reduction is important, essential to also try to track what is happening in the world. And this is something that is now is again changing, because technology is acting as enablers, not more as accelerator. We can have also artificial intelligence that can absolutely predict what will happen in an area, for example, about soil contamination based on some parameters. So it is an amazing thing. But the problem that we need to address now, as you say, is the distance between our developed worlds and the countries that are on the way to develop. The problem is that we, in a selfish position, let me say a selfish position, we see these developing countries as something to harness, something to use for our, but in real time, in the developing countries, we have a big opportunity to let the global progress advance. How this can advance? This can advance only if we apply an holistic vision about what is the real needs of our world. Because if we imagine our Earth as the only Earth we have, we cannot absolutely exclude all the developing countries from our growth process. So we have now the ability. It's a willing if we can do this, because with the green technology, we have everything we need to fill the gaps and to track the waste, to use renewable energy. And I imagine with the blockchain in the energy sector, we are experimenting the change of technology, the swap of energy between producer, consumer. Now the consumer are becoming also producer. So we have this new figure, this new character that is called the prosumer, something. So I think it's very important to take a look holistically at what is the progress and what we intend for progress. Is this progress? I don't know. Can be progress for someone, not for everyone. And tech, in particular green tech now, instead the field of circular economy and sustainability, they can really help. So I think we have no more excuse to pursue a global and foster a global and inclusive progress, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. It's good to see. I would like to dip a bit into, you are a fellow of the RSA, the fellowship of the Royal Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufactures and Commerce. This is an award that is granted to individuals that the RSA judges to have made outstanding achievements to social progress and development. They have one impact program called Regenerative Future, which aim is a future where humans thrive as part of the Earth's ecology. In fact, they have as part of this program, there is a program to make fashion circular and so on. Could you elaborate a bit what RSA is doing in sustainability area and also on this Regenerative Future program?
Yes, let me say, I was really amazed by receiving the invitation to become a fellow at Royal. I was not aware of the Royal Society. And then when I explore, this is really fascinating, because we are 30,000 people at the max around the world, 30,000 people that act as a change agent, that act as people that bring innovation pursuit with a purpose. Innovation and progress with a purpose. So let me say the Royal Society of Art is based on this. We must focus on purpose. Regenerative Future is a program made by thousands of fellows that aim to as you know, try to do not find a way to pave the way to use in a regenerative manner our world, starting from fashion, starting from cotton, starting from everything that is inside our life. In these particular scenarios, I think we are working together in a work group, discussing how we can, each of us, we can add a bit of more awareness about our regenerative future, a future that is not only based on consumption, but is based only on responsible consumption of something that can be renewed, like our Earth is doing by billions of years, because the Earth alone is has sufficient resource to regenerate. Without humans, without humans, the Earth has all the resources to regenerate itself. We are the new actor that are playing the future also on our Earth, and we need to do it in, let me say, regenerative way. Try to find something that can act as the Earth did till so far.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations for being selected as a fellow of the RSI. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the question that leads this panel, right? So, to give a bit of context, well, Carlota Perez is a Venezuelan British economist. She's the author of Technological Revolutions and Financial Capital, and she states that in the last 250 years there have been 5 big technological revolutions, starting in 1770 with the Industrial Revolution, and for her the last technological revolution was in the 70s of last century, the IT and telecom revolution. Okay. She also, in some last papers that she published, she considers that green growth can become the next big technological and market opportunity, stimulating and leading private and public investment, and be the driver of the next technological revolution. You know, in a context where the European Commission has released their Green Deal, private companies are integrating its mandates and also are addressing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or the environmental, social, and government factors in their strategy. And, you know, in a context with several technologies are driving the digital transformation of the society, do you think, or do you agree with Carlota Perez that green tech will drive the next technological revolution? Or in short, is green tech the next big thing?
I really hope that it will be the next step. But let me say, we got now 4 industrial revolutions and 2 information revolutions. Industrial revolution, invention of steam machine, and then the chain, automated chain, and then we got the computer starting in the 3rd, and now we have a cyber physical system. We are creating amazing things as human, using our ingenuity, because if you think about that, we are using our current computational model that is still based on 0 and 1. So imagine with these two little things, we are doing amazing. We are doing awesome things. And I think the 5th industrial revolution, I hope, will be about this kind of change on green tech. Let me say, many at last Davos that say, quote, "The world needs a 5th industrial revolution to flower like a new Renaissance age. It will be marked by unprecedented creativity and a sense of shared common purpose, as we work together to bend progress and profit toward purpose and inclusivity." So again, what we need is to master our focus on purpose, why we are here, what is our future, how I can participate in society as an active member. So I think green tech will be the next big thing. And I think the fifth industrial revolution will be revolved around our purpose on this earth, so we can act responsibly.
Okay, really nice to see that you agree with this and so on. And you know, we have just 5 minutes to finish our conversation. So we started the conversation in a street in Naples when you were a kid, and I would like to end it in outer space. You know, the overview effect is a cognitive change in awareness reported by astronauts during the space flight. Astronauts, after observing our planet from the universe, they feel the obligation and the responsibility to take care of this fragile blue dot forever. Okay, unfortunately, we cannot take all the humankind for a ride to the space, right? To experience this. But I think that we should be able to provoke this feeling from Earth, right? So, what are your ideas? What do you propose to make this happen, Antonio?
Yeah, it will be for sure amazing to go out in the space. I'm really, I have a big desire burning inside, but sadly it's not for everyone. I need to talk with Elon if he want to bring with him in some SpaceX mission, but for now we stay with our foot on the ground. But imagine if you consider temperature changes, it's a good proof. But more than other, I think also killing the news, all the wars, all the injustice, and all discrimination that makes us feel unhappy. This can be sufficient to sparkle inside us the flame of our desire to pursue a purpose, to give our life a purpose on this earth that is not only a purpose for profit. Because let me say, we are living in an interconnected world. And this world that is becoming ever more interconnected, more we are becoming interdependent. We are becoming interdependent one from other. We use objects made by others. We use transportation driven by others. We spread our voice using a smartphone and antenna that we did not build. So in this world of interconnected and interdependent world, we cannot stand solo. I think we must feel the connection and actively participate in pursuing a more sustainable and inclusive society, giving ourselves a purpose. Be awareness of what's happening around us, listen the news, make your own opinion, and then this natural process will bring us to create a more inclusive and sustainable progress. Give each of you, give you a purpose in your life.
Okay. Thank you, Antonio. So, you know, I will wrap up the conversation with maybe two highlights from it. You know, is green tech the next big thing? Yes, we hope so. You know, and the next industrial revolutions will bring a new renaissance age that should make it happen. And green tech, with green tech, we have everything we need to make this happen, and we have no more excuse to foster this in a global and in an inclusive way. So I don't know. Thank you very much for your insights. It was a pleasure, not only the conversation with you today, but all these days that we made. And yeah, thank you, Antonio.
I'm honored.
Thank you so much, Antonio and Roy. If we don't have time, but just for one question for Antonio, if you allow me, Roy, regarding the green tech, they're asking what is, in your opinion, the role that the governments and the private sector should have? Who should be leading who? Is this a joint effort, and how is this going to be worked between them?
I think companies, private company must want the change, because we have many companies that are sensible to ESG, and they are giving governance to their action. I collaborate with many large multinational companies, and they are really sensible. They are raising awareness about a sustainable governance, let me say. But we need regulation, and the regulation must be addressed by government. So we cannot left everything to private companies. Yes, they are big actors. Each of us is an actor of this, but we need governments that act as regulation. I'm leaving with the European Commission some good organizations, some good regulation they are made, but the government must regulate, companies must innovate and must propose and be leaders for this transformation. But both are important.
So we're destined to understand each other, as they say, like a good marriage.
Collaborate, holistic collaboration between government and companies.
Excellent. I think that's a key word. I want to thank Roy for bringing us this kid from Naples who was passionate about technology and has turned out to be a humanist of the 21st century, as you were saying. And as one idea I kept from all your conversation is that at the end, you recommend a more holistic approach to address the real needs of all the population in terms, obviously, of green tech. But as Roy was saying, there's no more excuses. And I guess green tech is not only about tech, because there's always the people behind it. So Antonio Grasso, Roy Rodriguez, thank you so much for this fireside chat, this lovely, fantastic conversation. We hope to see you again very soon. And we'll keep up the good work.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. We continue in just a minute with our next keynote speaker that will talk about funding opportunities for SMEs. So don't go, we'll be right back. InnoSub One is the Horizon 2020 funding program of cluster facilitated projects for new industrial value chains. The program supports SMEs to develop new value chains that cross business sectors. It boosts innovation by combining expertise from different domains. Well, to tell us more about it, we have with us a EU expert. He is a project advisor for Horizon 2020 InnoSub at European Innovation Council and SMEs Executive Agency. Welcome, Virginie Perron. Bonjour.
Bonjour, good morning, everybody. So I'm happy to be here with you this morning. So indeed, I'm a project advisor in the European Innovation Council and Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Agency. It's quite a long name, and I've been the project advisor for C-Voucher for the past 3 years. So the purpose of my presentation this morning is to show you other funding opportunities similar to those that were offered by C-Voucher, because yesterday we heard the pitches of the SMEs, very interesting to see what C-Voucher helped develop. And this morning we also heard the great results that all the consortium implemented. So let's start. So I have to click here. So yes, so I want to say a few words again about the InnoSub One action. So it was financed under Horizon 2020, as just said. So the title of this action was Cluster Facilitated Projects for New Industrial Value Chains. So what was the objective? The objective was really to develop new industrial value chains by supporting, by fostering the collaboration between different innovation actors and essentially SMEs. We in the European Commission, we usually gave about 5 million euros to consortia such as C-Voucher, and we expected from each of them to dedicate at least 75% of these 5 million euros to support innovation for SMEs. So it could be through direct funding, like cascade funding, but it could be through other means, coaching, mentoring services. I know that in C-Vouchers, they had designers in residence, for instance. So the purpose of all these projects, these SMEs projects, was really to develop new products, new services by combining the SMEs from different sectors and from different regions. So as it was said before, clusters are the key role in this consortia, in these projects, because we know that they know the ecosystems very well and they are really close to the SMEs. And we also really expected all these projects to build strong links with the smart specialization strategies. In the next slide, I've provided you with an overview of the 24 projects that were launched since the beginning of this action in 2015. So I've highlighted on this slide the 7 projects that addressed circular economy or environment. So I guess you will have access to this slide, so you will be able to click on the websites of all the projects. I just want to say that another 5 projects will start, most of them in September this year. Just to give you an overview of the sectors covered, so as I said, all these SUP1 projects had to be cross-sectoral. So it means that at least 2, but usually more sectors had to be addressed by all the projects. So we can see that out of the 24 projects that we have financed so far, 23 had a digital dimension with ICT, IoT. Agro-food was also quite popular. Advanced manufacturing as well, with 7 projects. And we see, as I said before, that circular economy, environment, circular cities was present in 7 projects. So I think it's quite interesting also for the audience to know that we made an impact report last year, and we could see that with the first 18 projects up until June 2020, it was more than 36 million euros that had been given to more than 2,000 SMEs all over Europe and even beyond, because it's SMEs that from more than 39 countries that receive support. So it was a bit more than 1,000 SMEs that received direct funding, but in total we had more than 2,300 that received innovation services other than direct funding. So these numbers, I think, are quite impressive. So if we look at the countries, the SMEs that received, out of the 1,000 SMEs that received direct financial support, we could see that most of these SMEs were located in Spain, France, Italy, Germany. But again, it was SMEs from more than 39 countries that were supported. So it's linked to the size, I would say, quite logically, of the country. And on the next slide, it's about the funds that were allocated to SMEs per country. So it's in line with the number of SMEs. So it was most of the funds were allocated to Spanish SMEs, then French SMEs, Italian SMEs, and so on. And as I said before, it's 32.2 million euros that were given in direct financial support to those SMEs. So all these SUP1 projects include cascade funding. So we think that it's a really good mechanism for SMEs. So how does that work? So we in Brussels, we give funding to SME intermediaries. So consortia like C-Vouchers, usually made of clusters of regional development agencies, sectoral organizations. We may have also in the consortia, we may also have universities. And we ask them to organize sub-calls which and C-Voucher organized for. So usually there is far less competition for an SME to apply to cascade funding scheme than to direct funding scheme. The formalities are much lower, the application files are shorter, the access to the funding is faster. And usually the maximum amount an SME can get from a project is 60,000 euros. So I've put two slides with examples of other InnoSup1 projects. So the first one is DigiCert, but I'm not going to go through it because just after me, the coordinator of this project, Melanie Pellen, will present it. So I will move directly to the second project, which is Mind the Gap. So Mind the Gap aims to support the development of projects between SMEs from raw material and mining sectors and facilitators from ICT, circular economy, resource efficiency, and advanced manufacturing. So they had a first call published in May and closed in May, and the second call will be published in November this year, and SMEs can get two types of vouchers. So proof of concept voucher or demonstration voucher, and each SME can get up to 25,000 euro if selected. So for this project, it's more than 3.4 million euros that will go directly to the SMEs. So I just want to say that it's not only InnoSup1 projects that offer cascade funding. There are many, many more actions financed from different sources. So there is a page on the European portal where all these cascade funding schemes and calls are published. So I've indicated on that slide the address, the link to this page. And here you have an overview of the projects that will end between 31st of May, the calls that will end between the 31st of May and the 30th of June. But there are many, many more to come. So of course, cascade funding is one thing, but there are many other EU grants available for SMEs. So from the Single Market Program, COSME, from the European Innovation Council, through the Accelerator Action, the Pathfinder Action. You probably know about the Horizon Europe Pillar 2 with the food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, environment, and climate energy clusters. There are joint undertakings. But as I said before, the constraint is that the competition at the EU level is very high and the formalities are quite big as well. So I know that at the end of the morning, there will be a presentation from my colleague from DG Grow, Marek Pszczor. I think he will also say a few more words about the other EU grants for SMEs, especially in the fields of circular economy. So to finish, I just want to say a few words about the Enterprise Europe Network. We heard that in C-Voucher, we have the Galician partner, we have the Romanian partner, who are also members of this network. So just for you to know that this Enterprise Europe Network is the biggest support network for SMEs in the world, with 600 organizations all over the world, more than 3,000 experts, and they can provide services on EU legislation, on EU funding opportunities, on business partnering, and of course on innovation support. So they are really there to help you as well. And that was it. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Wow. Virginie, that was fantastic. I'm here writing notes on everything because you've given us so much information, so interesting, important, and in so little time that I just want to go through some of the things you said with you just for a few seconds, because I believe you said there's 7 projects. Well, there's 5 projects that will start. We'll have a call in September, correct? That have to be across.
Sorry, 5 projects will start. So they will start in September, but they will publish the first calls for SMEs probably, I would say, at the earliest beginning of next year.
Okay, so for the SMEs that are listening to us now, they have to attend, they have to be aware of the call you mentioned in November then. You mentioned there's a call in November, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, from the Mind the Gap project.
The Mind the Gap, which is an excellent idea. I guess a lot of companies interested in batteries, for example, for cars that are growing the materials from mining materials from the source to actually manufacture those the minerals. So that could be one of the sectors, I guess, or the companies interested in this call. So that'll be the first one in November. Then the next ones for these projects that start in September will start in January or the beginning of 2022. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. But before the one in November, Melanie will now present the next one to be published on the 2nd of June. So next week there will be one interesting for you.
Circ. Okay, we're looking forward to listening to her. You also mentioned, of course, the importance of this of the work that you're doing, because 39 countries have been supported. You mentioned, we saw the graphic with all of them, and obviously the ones that got more projects or more funding in a way, as you were saying, depends also on their size. So Spain, France, Italy, Germany were at the beginning of that list. But also the importance of the cascade funding scheme, more interesting than the direct funding scheme. So, and there was a very clear slide, although for me it was too quick, Virginia. So people will be able to see this again later, so they don't forget. And then the two types of vouchers you mentioned for that call in November, which is proof of concept voucher and demonstration voucher. There's a lot of possibilities, funding, and exciting projects for those SMEs that are willing to, not only in circular economy, but in other sectors, as you mentioned, IoT, agro-food, etc. How can you cope with all of this?
Don't tell me. No, it's a lot of work, I think, for the projects. I think Ola, from the coordinator of C-Voucher, Melanie, the coordinator of DGCIRC, they know that for them it's really a lot of work to organize these calls, to make the selection. And I must say, for us in Brussels, it's also quite a lot of work to follow all these projects, which are quite complex, but very interesting, and really a lot of opportunities. And what we are happy with these projects is that we see where the European money is going to SMEs. We see yesterday, I was really impressed by all the pitches, we see really concrete results. So we are really happy.
So this is all the efforts, the success. I mean, the efforts that you invested, you can see the results. So must be very gratifying. So just to finish then, Virginie, there was a website. Is this the Enterprise Europe Network? Is the one that people should visit for all this information? Is that the best way? The EEN?
I think the Enterprise Europe Network is a complementary to the services provided and the funding provided by the InnoSup1 projects. But I think what is interesting, I think in my presentation there are two interesting slides among all of them. So the ones with all the projects listed with the logos and all the websites, because then the SMEs and all the other people interested can go and click on the websites of all the projects. And there is this link to the page on the funding and tendering portal of the European Commission, where all the cascade funding schemes are published. The calls for all the calls are published. So the next one from Melanie to be published on the 2nd of June will be published in the next few days on this website. The one from Mind the Gap in November, and all others. And there are in many different sectors there are opportunities. So I think this should really be in the favorites, in the bookmarks of the SMEs.
So you all know, SMEs, mark those as favorites. I just want to say thank you so much to Virginie Perron for all this fantastic explanation and so much work. Bon courage. And we'll stay tuned. Thank you so much, Virginie. And as she was mentioning, we're going to pass now on to a colleague in order to tell us a bit more of the DGCIRC project. So she's already told us what's coming. But our next guest will be introducing another EU project with running open call, as she said, the 2nd of June for SMEs. She is Melanie Pellin on behalf of DGCIRC project. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Melanie Pellin, and I'm the leader of DGCIRC project at Cap Digital. And I would like to thank you for inviting me, and I'm very happy to share with you an overview of our project. But before we start, I would like to give you an example of solution we are supporting in DGCIRC. This example is My Water. This is a project led by 2 SMEs who developed a solution that solves the problem of reducing plastic bottles of water. As I'm talking to you, you probably have a plastic bottle in your hand or near you. Nearly 1 million plastic bottles of water are sold every minute in the world. This is a huge issue for human health and for the environment. And we are supporting those 2 companies who's going to provide safe and clean public stations for water refilled in outdoor spaces, free of charge and easy to geolocalize with an application. So no need for single-use plastic bottles of water. This is a kind of solution having a positive impact on the environment and using digital tools that we are supporting with DGCIRC. This is also the kind of project we are supporting at Cap Digital, who is a coordinator of DGCIRC. Cap Digital is the French hub for digital and ecological transformation, and also the biggest cluster in Europe, with more than 1,000 members. We like to say that we play a role of agitator and facilitator that bring together all players in the digital economy and sustainable development to make them work collectively. So we offer services in support of innovation, acceleration, digital transformation, and ecological transitions. Our members are distributed through 6 key sectors, including sustainable city. And since 2008, we have been coordinating and participating in more than 40 European projects. So thanks to this background and our field of expertise, we took the lead of the H2020 Innosu project DGCIRC in May 2020. So now DGCIRC. So DGCIRC's goal is to promote digital innovation for the circular economy in 3 sectors. Number 1, circular cities. Number 2, blue economy. And number 3, the bioeconomy. How do we do that? First, we gather a community of stakeholders in order to identify challenges in each of these sectors that SMEs will have to address. Then we launch open calls for SMEs, and our experts select the ones that have the higher potential. And finally, once selected, we provide those SMEs with support in the development of the solution through an intensive acceleration program and funding. So now, what as an SME you will get from this acceleration program? By applying to one of our open call, you will have access to up to 60,000 euro equity free per SME as a financial support for the full program. You will have access to business coaching and thematic mentoring from experts of our community. You will get direct access to a portfolio of investors right across Europe. You will have also access to online and physical courses provided by experts for you to develop skills and knowledge. And finally, you will have access to 4 digital tools developed specifically for this program. So here, you have an overview of the acceleration program. As you can see, the program is built around 3 key phases: design and structure for the SMEs. And for each program, a minimum of 15 consortia composed of at least 2 SMEs will be selected for the phase 1 and the phase 2. Phase 1 is a short one of 4 weeks, where consortia will develop their business plans and a first proof of concept. The phase 2 is 7 weeks, where they will develop their business plan and a validated prototype. At the end of the second phase, 5 consortia will be selected during a demo day event. And following this event, they will have up to 6 months to develop a first business success and a prototype in an operational environment. If you would like to know more about the program, I invite you to read the open call documentation or attend one of our webinars that we will organize. So, as Virginie told you a few moments ago, we are about to launch the Blue Economy Open Call. So it's our second open call. And to do so, we have already defined the 7 challenges for this open call. They are ranged from aquaculture and fisheries to port activities and from ocean renewable energies to climate change mitigation and marine ecosystem. You will find more details on these challenges on the project website. So the Blue Economy open call will run from the 2nd of June to the 3rd of August, and the acceleration program from December 2021 to March 2022. All the documentation and further information will be shared next week on the project website. So to find out more and to join this project, please contact us and follow us on the social media. Here you have the detail on this slide, and we are happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mélanie Pellin from Cap Digital on behalf of Cap DigiCerc for this super clear explanation. Congratulations and good luck for that open call. So you were saying 2nd of June until August for the Blue Economy, 7 challenges. So that sounds extremely interesting. And by the way, Virginie, Mélanie, no plastic bottles around, eh?
Very good.
It was very impressive, that number of 1 million plastic bottles sold. So we're running a bit out of time, Mélanie, so I ask the audience if they have questions to direct it to you personally or to DigiCerc through the means that you were very well presented on your slides. So thank you so much, Mélanie. We're looking forward to listening to hearing the results of that next call. So we will stay tuned. Until then, good luck, bon courage. Thank you. Merci. We continue because now the moment we have all been waiting for, the award ceremony, is coming in a minute. We're going to prepare all the participants, so bear with us a few seconds and we'll be back in a flash. Here we are again, and it is a pleasure to introduce the lucky person that will be conducting the award ceremony. She is the program manager at Funding Box. Welcome, Ola Shaska.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Elena. Ola. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending where you are today. Excellent moment for all of us. I mean, we're finishing C-Voucher. We're saying lots of thank yous. So I'll take this opportunity as everybody else. I will say big thank you to the European Commission for trusting in this idea, in the concept of C-Voucher almost 3.5 years ago. Thank you to the partners, as always, trying to do whatever they can to support SMEs. Thank you to my Funding Box team for making things happen, and mostly thank you to the SMEs, to the tiny, small, medium companies. We saw plenty of amazing stories. It's just so inspiring, you know, to be able to be a part of this circular journey. So yes, indeed, I'm in the role today of a lucky person to award our awards, the prizes. Before we move to this part, just wanted to quickly explain what it was about, why we gave out the awards at the end of the day. Well, we wanted to appreciate our companies once again. They went through very intense acceleration programs. They were with us, with designers, working through workshops, doing implementations, doing business strategies. So the time spent with us was obviously throughout the 3 years. And now we had some extra special bonus for the best in the class. So big congratulations to everybody. There was no one that I could say was below the threshold, you know, in a way. Unfortunately, we had to select somebody. It's still a competition. So I have the results here. Before we move there, once again, thank you, big congrats. And you guys were amazing. I'm talking to the SMEs and startups we met on the way. So let me just tell you also that we had 2 categories. There are business cases and circular solutions. So people were competing depending on which acceleration program they exited before. And the prices, when we're talking about the price, of course, there is money on the table. We were able to give between 6,000 and 17,000 euros. So the lucky winners, let me present the business cases first. So the first company, and I will start with the winner. There are three places on this podium. The winner is the company that works to prevent chronic conditions. Amazing goal. It's something that I believe it's so crucial for all of us. It's Think Biosolution Limited from Ireland. If I may ask Sharia, representing this company today, just to say a few words, if you wish. Let's keep the the Oscars procedure. Let's keep it short, so that the other can also take chance.
So yeah, we are very excited to receive this award. I might even add we're honored and really happy. It's a lot of hard work on behalf of my team. I specifically like to thank my technology development team that has spent many sleepless nights developing this key piece of remote monitoring device, and that's part of the circular economy, that's modular, and hopefully this will be one of the first modular medical devices in the world. And with the SME, it's always difficult. You go 2 steps forward and then 1 step backward. So we're mindful of that. And I would specifically also like to thank the C-Voucher team. The program was excellent. We got a lot of feedback. It was hands-on, but it was not too overwhelming. So it was quite a right balance, in my opinion. And last but not the least, I would like to thank the other participants. I was privileged yesterday to listen to all the pitches, and I was super excited by listening to what other people are doing. And I think it's important that we exist as a community in Europe to make sure that we do all of us do our part as SMEs to ensure that we have a circular, low waste economy going forward. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thrilled as always. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great having you with us. All right, so that was position number 1. Let's move on then. We're moving to a company that offers sustainable alternative material designed to degrade real quick. And that's a German company, Traceless Materials. I believe we have Joanna here. Congrats.
Thank you so much, Ola, and thanks to the C-Voucher team. I can just second everything that Soraya just said, and I would really like to say that we are super honored that with this you have awarded our solution that maximizes circularity, and through the C-Voucher maximizing circularity for our entire value chain, and thereby also optimizing our business case to help us reach our ultimate goal to save the world from global plastic pollution. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Johanna. And then the 3rd position goes to Sweden, to Circlab. I'm gonna say right away, you guys create a modular workwear, which is supporting the construction industry in general. So big congrats to you, Christian, and to everybody behind the project.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we at Circle Workwear are really excited and honored to receive this prize. I think it's a great boost in both confidence in our solution and the resources to continue developing. So we will use the prize money to invest in our first repair station for our modular workwear. So big thanks to the whole C-Voucher team. It's been a great experience. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Christian. It's been a pleasure. So once again, congrats to everybody and congrats to the ones pitching yesterday. Really amazing to see everybody working. Right now, we're going to take a short break and we're going to be right back with the second category. So you don't want to miss that. And I'll see you in a few seconds. System for walls, and the company representative for Excon Systems from Denmark is with us. Jesper, big congrats.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
Yes, of course.
To share with the others?
Yeah, of course. I'm super thrilled about the prize money. They are really welcome. As an SME, they're always welcome. So it was really nice to have the prize. Of course, I would like to thank the C-Voucher team for the communication and the support throughout the whole program, and the Blumorpho team, which has supported us and taught us to communicate our message or our product more clear to our audience and the market. So big thanks to those as well. And last but not last, a special thanks to the regional partners from Vejle Municipality, Majbrit and Dide Weise, who has also supported us all the way through the program. Has been really very helpful. They have press testing our models and workings throughout the whole program and giving us continuous feedback on our involvement. So big thanks to those as well.
Thank you, Jesper. That was our idea, just to get the regional partners who know the market, who know what's going on, pick people like yourself and maybe guide them a little bit and give access to some new possibilities. So that was exactly the success story we were hoping for humbly 3 years ago. Thank you. Thanks so much, Jesper. Now we're moving to France, to a company called Pixo. Benjamin, hello, how are you? That's the second prize. Pixo does circular system with Pixo boxes, the containers for food, right? I still remember your pitch, not only from yesterday, but also from one of the events in C-Voucher. How is it going and how are you feeling today?
Great. Thank you so much for this prize. So yeah, we talked with each other the first time with the first round of C-Voucher prizes, which we won the first time. We were really, really glad. It really helped us to develop our business and to launch our business actually, and to make us what we are now today in the scaling phase. So thank you again for this following prize, which will help us, I hope, to achieve our goals in turning all disposable packaging into reusable ones. I'd like to thank as well the C-Voucher team and the Blumorpho team that actually helped us all along since 2019 now in our adventures. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Benjamin. Appreciate you're here with us. All right, and the last company to be awarded, that's position number 3. We're going back to Scandinavia. We're going to Sweden. It's Artex. Artex does the refurbishing projects for trains, for instance. Our evaluators and our jurors decided that you guys deserve this prize. So Cecilia, you're here with us today. If you would like to share something, well, congrats, first of all, of course.
Thank you very much. And as a project manager for this project in C-Voucher, I'm very happy that we received this prize, this award. And I will thank you, the C-Voucher team and all others that helped us to come a bit on the way to become more circular. And this project has been very important to us to reach the goal and the global goal number 13 to change the climate action to become better and become more circular. So big thanks to everyone that had helped us. And this prize, we are going to use it to continue the work to become more circular and to put all this in practice.
Good stuff. Thank you, Cecilia. Appreciate. All right, so that was it. No more prizes to give out. Just once again, thank you to everybody. Very, very moving and humbling day for all of us. Congrats. And we're going to take a short break, after which Elena takes over. There is still one amazing keynote, so you don't want to walk away. And yeah, and thank you and goodbye. That's it from C-Voucher team.
Thank you very much.
Well, congrats to all winners and the rest of SMEs that participated in the pitching competition. All great projects, and as Ola was saying, no one was really below the threshold. So I know for a fact that was a very close call for the jury to decide on the winners. What an amazing job, by the way, from the jury. So all our best, and thank you to that fantastic jury for their decision. And now it is a pleasure to introduce our last keynote speaker of today, who will give us an overview of the perspective on the circular economy within the upcoming US strategy. He is Marek Sheor, Policy Officer in charge of InnoSoup One projects in DG Grow. Welcome, Marek.
Good afternoon, and congratulations for all these fantastic projects you have in C-Voucher. As you know, this is in the framework of the InnoSoup One, which is cluster facilitating projects for innovation, and we are happy that this that you had a chance and possibility to finance your project with the EU funding. And let me. I'm responsible for cluster policy in DG Grow. Let me therefore present you a perspective on the circular economy from the cluster DG Grow industrial strategy perspective. So I wanted to first of all, of course, you are pretty aware of this European Green Deal. This is something that was the first, one of the first things the European Commission introduced in 2019, so that we are really aiming at transforming the EU's economy. So you know it all very well, and one of the elements there was designing a set of deeply transformative policies. And within this designing a set of deeply transformative policies, along the other objectives was the one which is related directly to mobilizing industry for a clean and circular economy. So circular economy, it's very explicit. It's not implicit. It is we are realizing the European Green Deal, and the circular economy is very important there. So in order to start implementing these ideas, we have the EU Industrial Strategy, and we have a new Circular Economy Action Plan. All was presented and adopted in March 2020. And of course, you are very familiar, being in this business, very familiar with the Circular Economy Action Plan, the 35 actions. I'm not going to go into details of this. You know it very well, but what is most important, things are moving on. We are step by step implementing this, and then everyone who wants to track the progress of implementation, you can easily Google it, the implementation tracking table of the 35 actions where we stand both on regulatory frameworks or reviews or legislative proposals or whatever we design. So I'm not going to talk about this because you can easily look, and the colleagues from DG Environment would be much more appropriate for this. But I want to set the framework for us as people who are working with clusters and people who are working for innovation and in the topic of circular economy. So a regulatory framework is set up by the Circular Economy Action Plan and by the new European Industrial Strategy. And we had at this very moment, adopted on the 5th of May, the update of the industrial strategy that we presented on the 10th of March 2020. And it's very important to raise this, that the green transition is one of the 3 main blocks. And of course, the European Green Deal is the industrial strategy is going to implement the elements of the European Green Deal. So along global competitiveness and digital transition, green transition was already on 10th of March, focusing on industrial transformation. If you want to have the circular economy, then the industrial transformation is by default, the definition happening. And what happened, we all are aware, is the COVID came and has strongly affected our dynamism in this field. We have a decline of EU economy by 6.3% last year. 60% of SMEs reported a fall in turnover in 2020, 24% fall in intra-EU trade. So it all had an impact on actions. 1.7% of SME employment decrease in 2020, which means 1.4 million jobs losses. So, in these circumstances, when we have 45% of firms expected to reduce investment in 2021, you could expect the slowdown in investment as well in the circular economy. But as in the whole economy. So this time we needed to take for a year, and we were requested by both by the European Parliament, the European Council, to come up with update on the industrial strategy, taking on board lessons from the COVID-19, and we saw that we had the borders restricting free movement of people, goods and services. We had the interruption of global supply chains, which affected availability of products, and then as well disruption of demand. So these are the main lessons that we learn, and we want to tackle this with new measures which will mitigate these issues in the future. So basically, we are concentrating on strengthening single market resilience, analyze and address strategic dependencies, and accelerate the twin green and digital transition. And I would like to stress the last one, accelerating the twin green and digital transition, because actually this COVID-19 in our narrative is needs to serve as a booster for twin green and digital transition, and for accelerating the investment in circular economy rather than slowing them down. If I having this all lessons learned, we come up with this updated industrial strategies, where we want to have deal with the investment gaps in this field. We want to support business case for the transition and predictability industries. Business case is a key word, because this is something that must be sustainable from the financial and societal perspective. And for doing so, we need to have a clear business cases. So we need to have a demand, but in order to support demand, definitely we need to have a coherent and stable regulatory framework. And it's not only to have some vision about capacities, but people need to have capacities to introduce, implement, and put in place the new solutions and have infrastructure for this. And people need to finance this and have as well the possibility to get access to raw materials, energy, low carbon energy, decarbonized energy, and the right skills. So in this lessons learned, we come with the rather tailored approach for ecosystems analysis and co-creating the transition pathways in each ecosystem, supporting these business cases through a combination of different actions, be it investment, why we have Recovery and Resilience Fund, multi-country projects between countries. We have financing of innovation in Horizon program, in the European Regional Development Fund. We will be working on regulatory framework related to Fit for 55 reduction of CO2 emissions, carbon border adjustment mechanism, eco-design measures, green investment, sustainable products initiative. So a range of things announced in the updated industrial strategy, which will support circular economy. Let me go for this industrial ecosystem approach, because this is an approach which we introduced in order to embrace all actors in ecosystems. These ecosystems represent from 60 to 80% of European GDP, and we want to focus on the linkages and relations between the actors which contribute to the competitiveness of these ecosystems, be it from academia, research, be it from small and medium enterprises to large enterprises, be it from civil society and other corporatives. So the range of actors and going broader with the approach than just sectoral, purely business organizations. All actors who can contribute to industrial ecosystems are being taken into account, and they governance of the interactions and relations. So having said so, the impact of the crisis varies across different ecosystems and companies, and we can see that most affected ecosystem was tourism, followed by textiles or proximity economy, and mobility and transport, in cultural and creative industries, and aerospace. I would say I would mention them, this five as small, but the others were as well very much affected. The positive and optimism is with the progress of vaccination. We are moving ahead, and for the vaccination, as it happens that I'm now as well in our commissioner task force for ramping up the production of vaccines in Europe. Today I can announce this as well, that we as the EU have vaccinated 260 million people. The US 255. Basically today we are more vaccinated in nominal terms, more vaccinated people than the US. It's not very known in the newspapers. The same, we as the EU exported 200 million doses of vaccines, while the countries like UK and US didn't export so much, or much less, or they didn't even want it. So I wanted to mention this because this vaccination campaign and moving up and hopefully getting this 70% of people vaccinated by August, September will change as well the economic environment in the EU, and we see already raising optimism among among companies that it will grow. So we go for a tailored approach, ecosystem by ecosystem. In all details you can find in staff working document of the update of the industrial strategy. Is very easy to Google, just update of industrial strategy 2021 May and staff working document, and you have all descriptions, actions and needs for each ecosystem. Here I mentioned two: construction ecosystem, where it's mentioned by default to adopt life cycle and circularity approach. The same for mobility, transport, automotive as well, need to go circular with analysis and actions needed to be taken with goals, environmental goals, to CO2 emission goals and investment needs. So I encourage you to go in details. You can find out definitely the business opportunities for the circular economy, both from research, innovation as market perspective. So in short, there's in the update of industrial strategy, there's the green business case. This business case which is related to regulatory requirements to have like 55% reduction of CO2, to have the capacities and infrastructure, and here we are mentioning the work of our joint research center, mapping and analysis of energy and industry geography, where we it will be very clearly map the energy capacity and needs. Financing, as said, with Horizon Europe, revision of state aid rules in order to boost the green uptake and circular economy as well, by definition, and this renewed sustainable finance strategy my colleagues are working on, to have a taxonomy for financing, green financing. The other things are, of course, when we are talking about dependency on raw materials, European Raw Materials Alliance has been created, that we are able to tackle bottlenecks. So the carbonized energy is something that we it's a huge topic that we all are aware of. But in all of at this moment going on in all these ecosystems, the skills roundtables, identifying as well what kind of skills in each ecosystems are needed in order to boost competitiveness and to have enough capacity from the perspective of the employees, but as well managers, to be able to implement and uptake and reshaping the supply chains. So we are going to so of course putting SMEs at the core of the twin transition, as this is the 98% of our number of companies. It's pretty obvious as far as the instruments are. We have the work of the clusters, where which I represent, and we have the Enterprise Europe network, and both networks, which are now we had the reorganization in the European Commission. We are now in the same unit, starting to work very, very closely on and it will be you will see as well the actions for the green transition. In terms of clusters, we have around 250 green technology clusters in Europe. The clusters where you have very knowledge, skills, and capacity to disseminate and to implement the new solutions. At the same time, we are going to implement in the framework of Enterprise Europe Network sustainability advisors and the services which will run next year. As far as clusters are concerned, we led the European expert group on clusters, and they ended up last year with the recommendations for 2021-27, and they are set in 5 clear recommendations per one block. So we have 3 blocks, and one of the blocks is clusters. Role of clusters should be to lead the green transition in this concept of co-evolving ecosystem. So we have clusters which are capable to push for circular economy as well, because they have knowledge, capacity, meeting together the market demand with supply of technologies, and that one of the recommendation, the second recommendation in this block, lead the green transition, is explicitly about circular economy. Circular economy becomes a new norm. So use clusters to develop and implement circular economy strategies and action plans, detect opportunities for circular solutions, and bring circularity in the business processes. What we are aiming as well is to have cluster managers to introduce circular action plans within the clusters, bringing together their members so that it can be tangible and create roadmaps for this. So we as an example for this expert group, we had the Waste for Think project, which was applying ICT in the management of waste in urban territories. I think now very easily we can add as well the experience from C-Voucher project. So I would be very happy to get your input for what we are working now on operationalization of this recommendations. So you could very easily show examples for policymakers across Europe and for cluster managers across Europe, how you can make these clusters lead the green transition through having circular economy on board and embedded in the cluster development strategies. At the end of this year, we will launch the call for joint cluster initiatives, Euroclusters, financed from the Single Market Program, which was adopted last month. No, actually, it was adopted on the 5th of May, and now we are preparing the call. The call will be focusing on gathering the consortia of cluster organizations and other members, other possible actors, which could contribute to building resilience of the EU economy, so developing value chains, interlinkages in the EU single market, and build the capacity to increase strategic autonomy. I think the circular economy is like natural element for building resilience at the EU. Be it in the moment when we need to, in some cases, shorten the supply chain, or we need to find alternatives for inputs. The circular economy is a perfect concept to be implemented, and I think many of you might think about applying to this joint cluster initiative. So this is on the Single Market Program, but of course the key. And let me just mention some the flagship initiative from instrument for the EU on innovation is of course Horizon Europe, and this project is financed from Horizon Europe, and we don't have yet successor of InnoSup 1 as such. We might have, however, use of clusters in across different instruments, and in this case, let me just focus purely on where explicitly circular economy mentioned. But of course, the topic goes across. So if you have the pillar 2, global challenges and European industrial competitiveness, you have clusters, and clusters, not in meaning business clusters or in Porter, according to the Porter book, so the groupings of related companies and actors. But here, actually, this is the coincidence. Colleagues in DG Research called it as well clusters. Fine. So there is a cluster on food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. And sorry, could you? Yeah, I don't know why I'm going back. Can you go forward? Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, good. So as you know, the draft work program was discussed with shadow program committees. Now it's the time of formal adoption of work programs 2021-22, and once this is done, then there will be opening of first calls. So let me go into the cluster 6 work program. Of course, the whole intervention, logic, and priorities for 2021 are defined in the strategic plan, which was published in December 2019. So it's proposed to be designed around 7 coherent packages of calls, and the topics I'm aiming at contributing to the expected impacts set out in the strategic plan. So these are important elements while preparing the applications, and the destinations are here to be to be taken into account when we have Horizon Europe strategic plan and work program. And in the work program we have destinations in order to have expected impacts. There is it's cascading from EC policy priorities to the operational objectives of the programs, but I'm not going to go through this. In cluster 6 intervention logic, you will see that there is destination which is called circular economy and bioeconomy sectors. So there are going to be dedicated calls on sustainable and circular management and use of natural resources. So I encourage you to bear in mind that there are going to be calls for circular economy and bioeconomy sectors, fostering the climate neutral, circular, and bioeconomy transitions. This integrated circular solutions at territorial and sectoral level, with taking into account material flows and product value chains, are going to be there. So of course, this is all supporting the EU European Green Deal / as well the EU renewed industrial strategy. And there are 4 headings in this destination 3. Enabling a circular economy transition, innovating sustainable bio-based systems and the bioeconomy, safeguarding the multiple functions of EU forests, and innovating for blue bioeconomy and biotechnology value chains. So you could expect in this fields the calls. So I encourage you to follow and keep up to date via our web pages. The colleagues from DG Research, they are putting as well in place some webinars on funding guides and what's happening. So, but in MFF, in the whole multi-annual financial framework, why I'm ending now, is bear in mind we have different programs, be it from Horizon, be it from Single Market Program, be it from European Regional Development Fund, be it from LIFE, be it Innovation Fund. There's place for any projects you can take part, and I encourage you all clusters to register or update the profile on Cluster Collaboration webpage, where you can always as well look for funding opportunities. Thank you very much for your attention, and we wish you all us to create modern economy with circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marek. This has been a very interesting and in-depth explanation and a general overview of the circular economy in the forthcoming EU strategy. Thank you so much. As you were saying at the beginning, things are moving. Despite the COVID crisis, you showed us, well, the lessons learned and the new measures to mitigate the issues, the forthcoming issues in the future. And as you were saying, circular economy has become the norm. So thank you for all that in-depth explanation. We'll continue taking care and note and checking the websites as you were mentioning and saying, suggesting along your presentation. So thank you very much, Marek Seor, Policy Officer in charge of InnoSub 1 projects in DG Growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And he was the last keynote speaker of today and this C-Voucher event, the whole of the 2 days. This is it. This is it for this edition of C-Voucher. We hope you have enjoyed it and got inspired by ideas, best practices to continue working on the circular economy path. As it is clear from what we've heard during these two days, there is no way back. I want to thank all participants, speakers, partners teams, the funding box team, of course, and technicians behind the cameras for making this event a reality. There are many, many, many people behind the scenes, and especially a special thanks to you, the audience, because as I always say, you are the reason we are all here. In order to continue the networking and find out more about the companies that presented during this edition, the methodology used by our partners on a circular economy, and much more, you can find all that in the C-Voucher community. You will see the link in the chat right now, so take advantage to register for free now, and let's keep up the good work, but because there's a lot to do, we've just seen it. And we are all together in this journey. So see you along the way. Thank you and goodbye.